Welcome, folks. This is Kristin, Burton, and Sarah Bingham here with some exciting, maybe not so exciting news. But Kristin, introduce yourself real quick, and then I'll introduce myself for those who don't know.
I'm Kristin Burton. I'm a certified natural health professional, and I am a certified clinical thermographer, trainer, and master trainer. I own Thermography Discovery. I'm in Central Florida, and Sarah and I have worked together for a long time, and we just really sync up on our beliefs. And recently I did some experiments on cell phone usage and thermography, because thermography measures the heat and inflammation in your body caused by outside forces, inside forces. And it's been really interesting. Sarah and I have been working together, and I'm really excited to kind of share with you what I've been doing, Sarah, and your viewers and our viewers. And so that's a little bit about what's to come today.
That's what's so fun. That's why I like working with Kristin, because what I know to be true, she shows you what's true. It shows up in technicolor. So we work together. I know your gut's a mess. She can show it to you in technicolor that your gut is full of red and orange and inflamed and not happy. So I love thermography. And so I'm Sarah Bingham. I own the business Fast Food Healing. I teach how fast you can heal with food alone, and we all need to heal from fast food. So I've got a master's degree in nutrition. I'm a certified nutrition specialist. I'm licensed in the state of Florida. Have been at this for many years, many decades actually, helping people really strengthen their bodies so that their body can heal itself.
That's not going to go away. Hang on.
Oh, she's got her phone going. Well, you know, it's time. So when people, you know, here we are with COVID-19, everyone freaking out about, you know, about their immune system, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, our society is not focusing on how you strengthen your immune system. Duh, if there is a strong force coming at you, you want to meet it with equal force. And the way our bodies protect themselves is with the immune system. So in my journey in nutrition, because I'm going to conferences all the time and whatnot, there was this conference on electromagnetic radiation. And when I listened to that, I was like, wow, holy cow, that's important stuff. And my clients really need to know about this because it is affecting our biochemistry without question. So electromagnetic radiation is a toxin. It is something we are living in 24/7, and it's doing nothing but increasing. And parents in particular need to really understand what's happening with their children and how it affects all of us, and especially our children. So when I'm doing my intake with my clients, I ask them a simple question: do you turn your Wi-Fi off at night? And most everyone says no. Well, who thunk? You know, who would have thought? And what I tell them is, electromagnetic radiation is a known toxin. The government has known this for years because our military personnel are subjected to it quite a bit, and they know the effects. They don't want to spread that around because they'd rather us not know about it, because it's not fun when you start really looking at what's going on. The bottom line is, if you can sit in your bedroom and you can receive a signal through your Wi-Fi, you're getting Wi-Fi emanated all night long, which kind of makes your cells vibrate at a very high speed. It causes calcium, which is supposed to stay on the outside of your cells, to move into your cells. It is a biochemical stress. And I can, later I'll read you all the different symptoms, but the bottom line is we got to start thinking about this. So I have my router on a power strip, so that at night, closing down the house, you just throw the switch on the power strip, the router is off, and you turn it back on in the morning. And that gives your biochemistry, your cells, a chance to rest. We can handle some stress, but not 24/7. And then I ask my clients, do you know where your electric meter is in your house? Most people don't. They don't pay any attention to it. If you're lucky, it's outside your garage. That's a good thing, because the electric meters are 24/7 like a microwave. And so let me jump to the microwave for a minute. When you turn that microwave on, you have to be 30 to 40 feet away from that for my little meter not to be going off the chart. It just goes, and so you're being subjected to a whole lot of electromagnetic radiation. And your children are affected 3 times more profoundly, because they're littler and their skulls are thinner, and this electromagnetic radiation definitely affects them. So what have I done with my microwave? It is a fabulous, I have unplugged it, and it's a fabulous spice cabinet. It's awesome.
Oh.
So I highly recommend it. Yeah, it's got the turntable, the whole bit. So I got all my spices.
Oh.
Yeah, you gain a cupboard. It's awesome. And warming stuff up on the stove, it's 5 minutes, guys. Throw the food in the pan, a little bit of water, put the lid on, turn it on high. It's done in 5 minutes. So we're not, a lot of people say, oh, but I need to warm up my leftovers. Fine, warm them up on your stove. All right. So when I listened to this lecture on EMFs, the person lecturing was Dr. Elizabeth Plord. Dr. Elizabeth Plord has been for decades a scientific researcher. So she is trained in really examining real research, knowing what good research is. But she also has been through several health issues, and she turned out to be one of the few right now in our country, more coming, who are electromagnetic radiation sensitive, EMF sensitive, electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic radiation. Both of those are equivalent terms. She all of a sudden found herself feeling extraordinarily tired, and pretty much people like this, whenever they walk into any place that has Wi-Fi going, it feels like shards of glass are running through their bodies. Her husband could turn on the TV 2 rooms away and she would know it. Yeah, exactly. And, most of us are like, seriously? That's intense. But the challenge is, this is beginning to happen more and more. I have another colleague who, after she sat on her laptop for hour after hour after hour writing a book, she is now electromagnetic radiation sensitive, cannot be around cell phones, can't be around computers, and many of these people, if you really think about this, end up committing suicide, because where do you hide? Where do you go where there's no Wi-Fi? So this is not an insignificant issue. So I ended up, it was interesting, I've driven in a Prius my whole life, and I thought, holy cow, or for the last 20 years anyhow, and I thought, wow, that's like this big battery that I'm sitting on. And so I ended up going out. I said, well, I've got to know. So I went out and I bought this meter, and I'm going to give you all the information on the tri-field meter, but I wanted an indicator on, okay, well, how much radiation am I being subjected to in my car? So I took it into my car, and yeah, by the way, all of our cars now are computers. Hello. So cars are an electromagnetic radiation hazard as well. So there's all these things. It's like, oh my gosh. So I took the meter into my car and realized, well, that wasn't too much. But then I went into my living room and discovered that I was living in about 4 to 5 times what I should be living in my living room. And that's because there was electric wires outside the house. We were on a corner, and it just created an electric field that was that you couldn't undo. I ended up hiring a building biologist. Those exist. And a building biologist will come with all of their high-powered equipment, because I wasn't sure my meter, was that good. And who wants to move? So she came in, examined everything. Again, the car wasn't so bad, especially if you turn the Bluetooth off in your car. Go into your car's settings and turn off the Bluetooth. That makes a huge difference in how much electromagnetic radiation you're receiving. So, so she came into the living room and she said, yep, and there's nothing you can do about that. There's no way to block it. There's paint and there's fabrics that we can use to block, somebody's Wi-Fi that's on the other side of the wall if you're in an apartment building, that sort of thing. But some of these areas, you just can't do that. And it's very interesting, within a year of moving into that place, I was diagnosed with cataracts and with thyroid nodules. Now, neither one of my parents ever had that, and I just felt like I was way too young to be having that. And so I do think that the radiation exposure contributed anyhow. At any rate, we moved. So back to the electric meters. There was a woman trying to heal from she'd had an operation, and she was lying on her couch with her head next to a wall. And on the other side of that wall, she was in an apartment building. There were about, I think, a dozen electric meters on the other side of the wall. Now, electric meters are now smart meters, so they are 24/7 microwaves. They're going all the time, and they're beaming back to the mothership, how much electricity you're using. So she became an EMF sensitive person. It absolutely took her down. So these are the things that you want to really pay attention to. You do not want to be living anywhere near your electric meter. You want to turn off your Wi-Fi, and you do not want to expose your children to all this electromagnetic radiation. And now we're moving into a lot of homeschooling, and even at school, children are being exposed to way more radiation than they should be. So I'm going to take a breath here, Kristin. Any thoughts on your end?
Well, in the world of thermography, and by the way, if I didn't explain myself well enough, we hunt around in the body with a special camera, an infrared camera, so that we can find inflammation in the body. And inflammation comes from all sorts of different places, like your thyroid nodules. I remember when we imaged you, we saw them plain as day. There they were. We see blood profusion, where your body is sending blood somewhere to heal it as an injury. And we see normal heat, like under your arms, things like that. So we can see all kinds of different sorts of heat signatures. And one of the heat signatures we see very well, no question, is radiation. So we can do some really interesting studies. And I had a friend come to me who was experimenting with an EMF blocking device, or a mitigating little chip. And they were looking at this is interesting. They were looking at, and they still are looking at the material in the chip, because they're seeing cell phone towers going in the middle of produce fields, right? And so they're finding that could there be an issue with lower yield? And sure enough, they did do some studies and find that the ones with cell phone towers had lower yields. So what they did was they looked at this powder to sprinkle in the soil that blocks and helps the plant mitigate. And I have the coolest videos of plants that are exposed to just cell phones, and right next to it, the plant has that substance in the dirt. And the plant with the substance in the dirt is doing great. And the other one that doesn't have the substance in the dirt is thinning. The little leaves are falling off. It's not as full. It's not producing, so it's not as vibrant. And there are some very interesting things. I'm sure that our audience here, I think we're preaching to the choir, they know, but to see the video is so cool. So then they started.
Do you know what's in that stuff that they're putting in?
It's a silicate that has, they call it silicate. It's out of Germany. It's completely inert in the soil. I think it has a mineral in it. I think part of the compound is gypsum, which is very inert, and very interesting stuff. So what they started doing is there's all kinds of different cell phone blockers out there, right? I'm sorry, radiation blockers for your cell phone. See mine? Mine looks like a little Mickey Mouse there. Because when they know that I have the highest quality infrared camera, I have the big mama camera that's over 300,000 pixels. Most thermographers are working with about 75,000 pixels. So I have the big camera. They all want me to measure the radiation because I can see it right down to the pixel, right? High resolution. So they come to me and they say, will you test? And then they give me a free one. So I got a couple of freebies here. I have necklaces, I have bracelets, I have all kinds of things. But the one with the silicate that impressed me the most was this one right here. Right here. That's the one that impressed me the most. The videos and so would it be okay now if I shared my images with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go back and give you all ideas of what you should be living, what levels you should be living in. And I think we all should just buy one of these meters, because this isn't going away. And as 5G gets, added, there's all kinds of times where people add stuff and you have no idea. So you need to check your environment pretty much on a regular basis. it's kind of like toxins in the soil. You never know what the guy uphill is doing. Here we go.
So this was just a little one, a little study I did. It doesn't take long, but you have to observe all kinds of protocols, and you have to, you know, and I observed all those protocols, although I don't have the paper here alongside it that shows the camera. I use the protocols, the range. There's all kinds of really important things you have to do with thermography in order to make it accurate. And just please know and be assured that I did. I wasn't altering these pictures in any way, shape, or form. And anybody who's watching this who would like to contact me, I can send you all the data on how we observe those protocols. But here's someone who hasn't been using their cell phone for about an hour, and it's just sitting in her purse. And then what we did was we had her hold the cell phone up to her head about an inch away on a 10-minute call. Now, the inch away is important because if you're pressing the phone to your head, that could affect temperature. But if you keep it about an inch away, it's more about the radiation than it is about something pressing against your body and holding in heat, right?
Wow, that's an interesting point, Kristin, because we know that the closer you get with radiation, the more powerful it is. So even that inch lowers the power of the radiation going into your skull.
By the way, if you read the tiny little fine print that comes along with your cell phone, or you might even have to go online to get it now, it always talks about how you need to hold the cell phone slightly away from your ear.
They say that if you go to your, I'll tell you how to do that. You go to your cell phone settings, go to general, and then go to legal, and then go to RF exposure. And they have it. It's all written there. We recommend hands off.
Right, right. I hardly ever put my cell phone up to my head anymore, only when I'm in a crowded place and I have to hear that. And then the whole time I've got this cell phone pressing up against my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I know about this image. So here, this image is after a simple 10-minute cell phone call, 1 inch away from the head. So not even pressing and forcing that radiation into your head, but just keeping it away so there's no heat from the phone that's really affecting, okay? And look at how much more hyperthermic. This is a very intuitive palette that we use. It's called rainbow, and red equals inflammation. Now, the line you see going up the side of her head is actually her carotid artery. Can you see my cursor? Because up here is her temporalis muscle. This is the TMJ joint. And this is just all the musculature and the ligaments and things that are all around here in the neck. And as you can see, it's not just about the ear. It's not just about that. It's about the whole entire area of the head. What's interesting, too, is when you turn her to the opposite side, you see increased hyperthermia on the opposite side as well. Now, I just put this together as a quickie before and after, but you see it down the chest. As you can look here, down the clavicle, her collarbone, you can see it down in here. And you can even see it on her shoulder where this wording is, whereas over here you don't. So if you just kind of do a quick comparison back and forth, you'll see even more hyperthermia than you thought. Look over here by her chin.
Yeah, and what's the white, Kristin? What's the white represent?
Ultra hot.
Exactly.
So hot it's out of range. Yeah, that's the real damaging heat. And I can tell you that I was kind of shocked when I saw this, but then I started doing these. Then I put this out in the world, and I got 57,000 engagements on this on my Facebook. I've always had, like, I've been lucky to get, you know, a couple of 100, 300, woohoo, 57,000 engagements on this particular image. And so then people started contacting me saying, can you do mine? Can you check out my chip? Can you see if my apparatus works better? Can you see if my cell phone is really this bad? And you know what? All the cell phones are this bad. All those smartphones are this bad for sure.
And is that what it looks like? The white hot is going right up the carotid artery. Am I right?
Yes. And of course, she already had that heat there, like most of us do have a little heat. It's blood coursing through an artery. And so, but it just heated it all up even more. So imagine your arteries are heating up. What is that even? I don't even.
And along with that, we know that chronic electromagnetic frequency radiation into tissue causes the calcium to move from the outside of the cell to the inside of the cell.
Oh dear. Right. Yeah. You said that. Yeah. I learned from you all the time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull something else up that I thought was very interesting. And it is this image. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now this one was even more interesting, and I'll tell you why. I want you to look at this second row here. On the left side, this is after a 10-minute call. So this is just another person on the old 10-minute call. So they looked pretty normal, lot less hyperthermia prior, 10-minute call, okay? Then we had her put the chip on and go to another 10-minute call. And when she put the chip on the phone and continued talking, she started to cool off with the chip on the phone.
Wow.
And so that one blew me away because other tests had shown that they just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And the other thing that was insane was that even after the call was over, that 10-minute call, for another 20 minutes to a half an hour, they continued to get hotter and hotter and hotter.
Which is what we know that about radiation, that it actually
builds.
Yeah, it builds in time. It doesn't just go away.
And it's cumulative, you know, so that's why, you know, why we have a lot of warnings about radiation in our medical procedures, because the radiation is cumulative. It doesn't just wear off over a half an hour. It does its damage. And then the next time the damage is on top of the damage and so forth. So this one here was someone using, and it was the chip, that is my favorite. And she started cooling off during the call. Now, I can't say I see that in all the tests I do with people. I've done necklaces, I've done things that people sit on. I mean, I've probably done about 10 of these experiments, and they take half a day to do, because you got to cool them off, you got to get them back to normal, and then you've got to reintroduce the phone, and then you got to put the chip on, and there's all kinds of little things you got to do to make this a proper study. Now, for those of you who are saying this could never be, you know, admissible in a court of law or whatever, no, it couldn't be. But if we did a couple of hundred people, I bet it would be. And as long as we followed all thermographic protocols. So all I'm just trying to say here is, yes, these were casual studies done with protocols, but the evidence was real. The outcome was real.
Absolutely, Kristin. And I, you know, this is the book. I'm going to put this, if you go onto my website, fastfoodhealing.com, I'll have a resources page where I'll give you this is called EMF Freedom by Elizabeth Plord, PhD. The science is out there, Kristin. I mean, all you're doing is showing what the science has illuminated for years.
Right.
That electromagnetic radiation is for real, and that we need to pay attention to it, and that here in the United States, we absolutely are not, as usual. It's, it's, don't you love seeing the pictures though? I mean, does it leave any doubt, you know, in your mind?
And after doing these over and over again with people, I just constantly see these smartphones just heating people up to an unbelievable, the temperature differentials and all the things we use in thermography. It's like, holy cow, even somebody who's been out in the sun and they come in and we see the heat from the sun beating on them, it wears off in 12 to 15 minutes. When it's from the cell phone, it builds and builds and builds over the course of 45 minutes or so. And so, you know, it's different from heat, because people could say, well, you know how your cell phone gets a little warm there when you're talking on a long call. You can say all that stuff, but we've accounted for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so has science. The research, like I said, has been done. And you can find a huge bibliography in Elizabeth Plord's book. We know that an EMF exposure above 2 milligauss, that's how they measure it, small m, large g, 2 milligauss, absolutely creates biological stress in humans, period. I was living under, it was 4 to 5 milligauss that was in my living room. And prolonged exposures to levels between 2 and 12 or more milligauss are linked to cancer and possible immune system effects. If exposure to 12 milligauss suppresses melatonin, and that affects sleep, mood, overall health issues. You want to go outside and really look at what's, you know, what are the wires outside your house? Where is your electric meter? How much time are you spending? Oh, here's the other thing I learned from Elizabeth. Actually, I learned it from my meter. If you get these meters and start messing around with them, it's like, oh, son of a gun. So laptops, if they're plugged in, huge surge of electromagnetic radiation.
Oh.
So fill up your laptop overnight, and then use it as long as you can without it being plugged in. Plug it in over lunch, whatever, and then use it again unplugged. Makes a big difference. Our children are now home and they're using, and iPads are, what I want you to do is go to the website. This is where I started, and this guy has done his research as well. It's called non-tinfoilemf.com. You know,
non-tinfoil EMF. I'm writing that down right now.
Non-tinfoilemf.com, and he wrote a book that you can download, which I did, and it's the primer on, okay, what's going on and what do different countries do. And of course, the United States of America is the country that allows the most electromagnetic radiation in Austria, I think, or Australia. I've got to look that up. Some country has banned Wi-Fi in nursery schools. Okay, so these are scientists. This is not just willy-nilly. Most of the countries in Europe have a much lower standard as far as how much EMF they're willing, for their people to be exposed to.
So question that I have is, okay, I put these things on my phone, just put these on my phone. I wear the bracelets. I turn off my Wi-Fi at night. Is there anything else I can do? I mean, I'm walking around out there and they're putting in the new 5G, and the 600 megahertz is they're saying coming or here. So
that's why I go back to the non-tinfoil EMF guy, because he's on 24/7, and he's referring you to double blind, studies that have been done on particular products that have shown to absolutely block the radiation. It's not funny, and we do, and it does feel a little like, oh my word, is there any way to really protect myself? Now they have fabric that's woven with silver, which is really interesting, and the silver absolutely blocks the EMF. People have said when they get these blankets woven with silver and sleep under them, they've never had a better sleep.
Wow, where do you buy those?
You can get them online. The non-tinfoil guy, is the
non-tinfoil guy sounds like the guy.
Well, he's the beginning of the trail. He'll take you down the rabbit trail.
Yeah.
Different people, and you get on his. He's just constantly doing it. Most of us don't have time to keep up with all this stuff. And 5G antennas are going to be put every 5 to 6 houses in neighborhoods. They are powerful. There's some report, I believe, from Norway where they started putting them up, and so many people got sick they had to take them down. I haven't corroborated that. All I know is this is not lightweight. We're associating this with, they put 2 rats that were a rat that was pregnant, 10 minutes every day for like 10 days with 2 cell phones on the rat, whatever. Mm-hmm. You can see that the fetuses were about half the size of a normal fetus. So is this affecting us? And are women putting like, Bluetooth stuff around their belly to figure out what's going on with their baby? Do they have Wi-Fi monitors in their nursery? No, stop. Don't be doing that, because you're exposing your infant to radiation that we don't know enough about. We know enough about to know that anyone that knows as much as we do won't do it, won't get anywhere near it. So we've got to start protecting ourselves. Yeah, Kristin and I both have, this is the bracelet that Dr. Plord found was the only thing that enabled her to feel better. So that's why I bought that. But the little chip that I held up here that Kristin was talking about, well, Kristin saw the results on her thermography. Yeah. So I think there are more and more products coming out that are going to help us. You've got to have something on your body. That's what I was, it's like, well, how much do you, you can put stuff on your computers and put stuff on your phone, but how about we're being exposed 24/7 walking around in society. So they've made necklaces, they've made bracelets. And I don't know where it's going, Kristin. All I know is we need to know about it, and we need to this isn't just woo-woo, that there's lots of science.
There's real science here. Yeah. And I know that nobody has to believe me in my science, But I know my science is true. I know what my camera can do. I know what we can measure. And I've seen it firsthand. And when you see it visually like that, it's so powerful, which is why I wanted to share that with you. Those little chips, by the way, if you can contact Sarah or I. My Facebook is Thermography Discovery, and we can make sure we get them into your hands if you want them. And a lot of women, you know, thermography is best known for breast thermography. And so we're having women put them by two and put them on either side of their bras. And that's right there by the lymph nodes. It gives your whole body. It's around your heart. It's around the center of your body. And it's a great place to put them. Just got to remember they're in there.
Okay. And Kristin, add the part about the wire, the underwire.
Oh my gosh, yes. We found that underwires, because they're metal, I don't know how, if they're picking up EMFs, if they're little tiny antennas. I don't know what the deal is, but of course we don't like underwire at all of any way, shape, or form, because it actually impedes lymphatic flow in the breast. But we found that the metal wire, even though it may press as less than the plastic wire, whatever it is, the metal wire was worse in terms of inflammation in the breasts. And we did all kinds of, you know, when you have a $30,000 thermography camera, you want to use it, right? So we're like, let's see if, you know, the metal underwire is better than the plastic one. You know, we're always goofing around with our camera, but it's serious science. And so.
Well, no, and metal, we know that
Yeah.
when you're in your car, and if you're using your cell phone in your car is a tin can. So the metal does accentuate.
Yeah, it bounces, it amplifies it maybe.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It amplifies the electromagnetic radiation. So,
right.
yep, you want to avoid using your yakking on the phone while you're driving. Not a good idea. So,
And I see all these little kids, like in their playpens, they can barely stand up and walk yet, and they've got a little iPad that they're playing with. And although that mother is so grateful that she got 10 minutes because the kid is poking on the iPad, still.
Yeah, so the iPad you want to give your little one is a battery run one that is not Wi-Fi enabled, any of that stuff. And while children are working at home, the computers need to be on the table, not in a lap. We need to rename laptops. We need to name tabletops or something, because they should never be in your lap, ever. A man holding a laptop for a couple hours, his sperm count goes down by, I think it was like 20%. So,
and I have 3 daughters who are of childbearing age, and they have these laptops on their laps, and I say, get that off of there. You're killing your eggs. You're irradiating your ovaries. And they'll sit there for 2 and 3 hours with a laptop on their lap.
Yeah, and you can buy pads that you put on your lap that then you put your computer on, and that will block the radiation. So all of these illnesses have been associated with radiation, from autism, Alzheimer's, MS, obesity, allergies, cancer, infertility, and miscarriages, and on and on and on. Any inflammation, basically, it causes inflammation. Kristin just showed you. It gets red, that's inflammation. So any inflammation is going to cause disease. And so we are being subjected to that. So we just wanted to put that out to you so that you can begin to take some more caution and protect yourself and your children from long-term damage of radiation.
Thank you for allowing me to share my images with you, Sarah, and with your audience.
It's always great doing this together, Kristin. So you take care of that. My website is fastfoodhealing.com, and I will have a resource page there with all the information that Kristin and I have given, and you probably can get some information from Kristin's page as well, which is
thermography.discovery.com, and we're working on that site and building it up. But right now, Facebook, Thermography Discovery on Facebook is awesome.
Perfect. All right, y'all.
A lot of info there.
All right. Stay well.
Stay well.
See ya.